All right. Well, good morning and welcome to this month's Inspiring Friday webinar. And this month's topic might be pretty timely given what we've all been going through with the pandemic. My name is Michelle Mott of Inspiring Solutions, a company that provides both on-site and online talent development. And today's topic is got stress, ways to work through self-care strategies to get through this pandemic. I want to reach out and say happy Bosses Day to any of you that are, where did my screen go to? There it is. Happy Bosses Day to any of you that are managers of others, business owners. If you've got dogs, if you've got kids, you are responsible for managing them. So that can be alone a stressful job. So we want to thank you for taking time to join us today. A survey, when asked about the pandemic experience and what causes you stress, has included sleep problems, poor diet or overeating, frequent headaches or stomach aches, temper difficulty, whether you're waiting in line at a grocery store or in traffic, increased use of alcohol or drug use. They said that through COVID, people are either going to be hunks, chunks, or drunks. Maybe I'm a little bit of both, all three. And worsening of chronic conditions. And then 52% said any of the above. So we thought today's topic was very timely. Dana, I want to reach out to her and say thanks. She's our producer. She's always making me look good. And she sent out, attached to the link, the handouts that we're going to be using. There's two, one that has the handout itself where you can take notes. There's also the upcoming webinar schedule. And afterwards, because we're wrapping up 2020, thank goodness, we're not only looking for your feedback, but we want to know what topics would be of interest for the calendar year 2021. We have been doing these webinars for some time, and each as a way of delivering some monthly motivation and expose you to one of our inspiring programs. And so if this would be a topic of interest to your organization, please let us know, because now it can be delivered in as short as 30 minutes on site or online, or it could be a half-day program. So what we're going to do is discover 7 guiding principles to keep your life simple. And I'm going to share with you a plethora of tips using 4 concepts to practice on a daily basis. For starters, would you agree we truly plunged into COVID-19 without much notice? And it's been an overwhelming experience. And perhaps you're like this guy coming up for air. And by now, hopefully you've learned to recognize that there has been some silver lining. We're all in the same storm trying to navigate through it, but our situation is different. Everyone's been affected in some way, whether it be personally with your children after spring break had been maybe at home for a long time, and now they've gone back to school, whether it was in school or online. Professionally, you could have experienced some change with your job, or maybe a spouse who is now either working from home or even lost the job. We have truly experienced creative disruption through our practices, policies, procedures, because now we're living in a virtual world, all of which has been stressful. For the most part, I had been working with clients in their location. And with the pandemic, my calendar virtually evaporated. So that alone was very stressful. Thanks to the PPP, we were able to keep the doors open and retooling. My first flight experience commercially, I masked up, I even wore eye protection, put a hoodie on and wore gloves just because I really wanted to stay safe and keep others around me safe. The other change of experience was the dining experience. Everybody got the same dining experience on board the United flight. We were greeted by the flight attendant and given a bag that had water and a bag of graham crackers. So all in all, when we come out of the storm, we won't be the same person that we walked in. That's what the storm is all about. And who knows when the new normal will eventually be settled. So we thought for openers, we'd ask you a question, and I want to close it out and then share with you what the results were. There were two questions. The first question was, what has been the toughest part of the pandemic experience? 40% of you, and that was the same for the first hour, your inability to be physically close to others. You know, you couldn't be with your coworkers, working virtually from home. You're not able to see family or friends, and that has been tough. The other tide was shopping or dining limitations. Yeah, we had to cook more at home, and I think I've enjoyed some of that, but it definitely has been a different experience. And then the third vote getter is not able to travel. The other question we asked was, what have you actually enjoyed most about the pandemic experience? 60% of you said the opportunity to spend quality time with your immediate family and or through video calls. I know that I've talked with my brother's family more since the pandemic than I did all of last year. And the other top vote getter was not spending as much money on travel, shopping, dining out, etc. So your credit card could have been the benefactor of that. So thank you for participating in that. That indicated really what causes us stress. So to set up the stage for these 7 principles, I want to share with you, Beyonce said that, you know, if everything was perfect, you would never learn and would never grow. I know in our office, we've learned more about virtual communication and virtual education than we ever thought we would. So one of the guiding principles is to relax your standards. Life is not perfect. You're not perfect. I always like to remind people, if you were perfect, you wouldn't have any potential for improvement. So relaxing your standards, so fill in the blank if you're following along with the handouts. And what that means is change your expectations with coworkers. Dan and I have learned a new way of working virtually together. Learn how to change your standards with your family. I'm not saying to lower your standards, but just know that coming upon Thanksgiving and Christmas, you might not get to have the time with family or with friends that you did last year. And then finally, relax your standards with your children. Last week in the Des Moines Register, the Family Circus cartoon, I think, was very relevant. So I thought I'd share it with you. It says, take a look at this, a picture of contentment. Oh, to be a kid again, trouble-free and not in a worry. Well, they do have worries. You know, it's been a stressful year. They've had to learn how to re-engage at school. They've missed their friends. And I know that it's been something just weighing over them. The second guiding principle is to free yourself of stereotypical roles or chores. You know, let your kids fix dinner. That might be something that they would enjoy. Let them do laundry. Let them help you with some chores that you stress out about that could, in fact, help relieve some of their stress. You can do anything, but not everything. You know, what that means is sometimes we overcommit. We overcommit at work, we overcommit at home, and learning how to say no or managing your priorities. The third guiding principle is to take time to figure out what you find most important. And last week or so, I did a time management workshop, and we talked about COVID as a really kind of a reset experience. People were able to kind of reset, refocus on really what is most important. During the pandemic, my cousin, Jeanette, who has lived alone independently in St. Louis, turned 100. And I consistently checked in on with her because I wanted her to make it through to that milestone. And we did. Greg and another cousin and I went down and we celebrated her milestone. The fourth guiding principle is to create time for things you care about. Note the word create. We all are given the same allowance in seconds, minutes, and hours. How we choose to spend that time is up to us. And I have committed as now a nana of 4 beautiful grandkids pictured here, of creating moments, memories. I used to try to find just the right birthday present or just the perfect Christmas present. And about 4 years ago, I made a deal with them. I said, if they did good in school, if they were good at home, we would go on some trip in 2020. Well, lo and behold, we had fun planning this cruise that we were going to take next month over Thanksgiving. Well, unfortunately, we've bumped it back to March, and who knows if we'll get to experience it. But bottom line is, I want to share moments and memories with them. This was actually just taken yesterday. I was doing work not too far from where they live in Solon, Iowa, and I spent the night and got to see the flurry of the before school morning. I didn't remember all that. And then I got to go to my grandson's football game, last football game of the season. And even got to see Connor, who's 16, and behind the wheel, driving off, taking them to school. So you know what? Life is really about memories that you share. The 5th guiding principle is to learn to enjoy what's in front of you. I think so many times we're stuck in the past. You know, we're not ever going to go back to the good old days. I think the new normal will have remnants of the old, but I think it'll have some new best practices. And one of the things that it's important to do is think that life is a gift, and each day we are blessed. Dana and I have had to retool how we've worked together. Luckily, our computer system was virtual, so that wasn't a major change. Thank goodness we had moved or migrated our files to the cloud using Office 365. But our workspace changed. For the most part, my business for now almost 30 years has been home-based. And the home that I'm currently in, I renovated my utility room, complete with drywall and cam lights. And it had no windows. And both Dana and I love the beauty of nature. And so a couple of summers ago, Sarah, who is our intern, found a mural of a window. And if you look closely, it was a window to a beach. So we've since added a palm tree. And that's the space that we, when we work together, share. But Dana has now set up her office working virtually from her home in a spare bedroom. And you can see that her desk is right in front of a window. And when she's had her window open on some days, I can actually hear birds chirping. So learn how to make the most of what you're given. The 6th guiding principle is to be flexible. Blessed those that are flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape. And I think that that is a major stressor. You know, from thinking that life has to be perfect and our plan has to be executed. You know, Dana and I did our strategic plan for 2020, but it went out the window. We're going to eventually work on it for 2021. But, you know, we've got to learn how to be flexible. And if there's one thing that can help you get through change is the ability to be agile. That means your ability to adapt and to do that's difficult. And I think it was survival. Many businesses did not make it through the pandemic. Many individuals are stressed because they aren't able to be flexible. As we work with organizations, we help teach them to have an agile culture. We've got a couple of tools and resources that we use, but your emotional intelligence is the new intelligence for our world. Our application, our ability to be agile meant that we had to rely on webinars much more because people didn't want us on site. They were working virtually, so we couldn't bring people in. You know, the 6-foot rule was important. And so as a result, since March 16th, we have designed 4 specific virtual workplace webinars. And we've also now have had not only contracts for those topics, but we're learning that people are appreciating the opportunity to get people to connect, even if it's using Zoom technology. Earlier this week, we did a program for the Iowa Board of Nursing, and they just enjoyed being able to see each other, even if it was virtual. So the seventh and final guiding principle is to prioritize. Now, a lot of times we get frustrated because we don't have time or we don't make time. So very simply put, time management takes disciplining yourself with good habits. You know, I don't care if you have the latest and greatest iPhone. I'm looking at the iPhone 12. Or if you do nothing more than write yourself to-do lists. But you have to be consistent. That's the key. And learning how to discipline yourself each day is truly you'll become a master of your time. The last part of our half hour together, I wanted to give you 4 concepts with a variety of different tips. And in the space or the box provided, maybe think about 3 tips that you will commit to doing on a regular basis. And I want to give credit to our source. Karen Levine wrote a book called Keeping Life Simple. And she was the one who wrote those 7 principles that I just shared with you, along with over 500 tips and ideas, of which I'm going to pick out and share some of them with you now. The first concept is to appreciate simple satisfactions. And that fits into 2 different categories: rest and relax, or take care of oneself. And maybe it's my age, but I'm learning how to really appreciate sleep. I don't remember enjoying sleep. I think it was something that I used to just do, but now I know I need to do it. I'm not opposed to taking a nap. If I'm feeling a little bit foggy, my brain isn't clear, I'll take a quick power nap and I am good to go. Maybe I got that gift from my father, who I know was able to do that. Read a book, go for a walk. You know, this is a beautiful time of our season to go out and enjoy the beautiful changing colors of the leaves. Hang a wind chime. My parents had a wind chime, and so I now have it in their honor, and every time a windy day comes, I can hear it, and it just gives me some peace. Buy yourself some fresh flowers. The mums are really beautiful right now. Make a random stop. If you're driving along the way and you see something that catches your attention, make a stop and smell the roses. Play old music. As you were logging in this morning, I was playing Kenny G, because I love smooth jazz. I love Frank Sinatra. That was one of my dad's favorite artists. And then the last is to do nothing. You need to embrace that concept, because doing nothing intentionally is doing something. Now, the key is to do nothing guilt-free. The other application of simple satisfaction comes from taking care of yourself. And I think this is extremely important during this pandemic, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people, whether it's your coworkers, your customers, your patients, depending on your industry or your family. So when I read this, I had done this about 7 years ago. And when I looked at this, it said, keep screens clean. That could be your windows. My windows could use some washing. But I know the other application is keep your cell phone screens clean so that you can see it and it's healthy as well. Have a comfortable chair to sit in, especially if you find yourself now sitting more than you usually do in the workplace. Make sure you have good lighting. I'm in a dining room area and I get some good natural light on sunny days like today. Ride a bike. I've gotten mine tuned up, but I haven't gone on bike rides near as much as we thought we would yet this year. Take a bubble bath. It's a great way to kind of at the end of the day warm yourself up. I will admit to turning on the furnace for the first time this morning. I hated to do it, but I know that I needed to let the heat rise and help me feel not tense or stressed. Cut down on your caffeine. I know this is a great time of year where I drink probably more coffee or tea in the mornings, but I only have one. That's my limit. And I tend not to diet. I keep myself fit, both physically and emotionally, by just simply moving more and eating less. Moving more means that if I can't find a close parking spot to a store, I don't stress out. I just park further away. Probably less likely to get door dings, and I get more steps walking. And we've recently started not to use full dinner plates. We're using the smaller salad plates for our entree, and then we put our salads in a bowl. And it's just another way of maintaining a good volume of food. The second concept is about celebrating life. And I've lost some dear friends recently, and it's just kind of helped me to appreciate this more so. The first category of tips comes from making traditions. You know, have or use or make traditions. At dinner time, saying grace was something that we did as a kid. Bedtime, I always love reading to my grandkids at bedtime. You might have first day of school pictures. What do you do always at birthdays or anniversaries? Holidays, we're coming upon Thanksgiving and Christmas, which is going to be a little bit stressful. My friends in Canada celebrated Thanksgiving this past Monday, and I heard from one of my friends who had said it wasn't the same without being next to friends or family members. But maybe you use Zoom, or maybe you Skype. Maybe you can play. There's a great game that's called Heads Up, and it's a fun way that you can do that virtually as well. Vacations, what traditions do you usually have on vacations? And now that you can't travel by plane, make a road trip. And I think Dana and her boyfriend are doing that this weekend. The other way to celebrate life is to preserve memories. This has been on my radar. My parents took a lot of pictures growing up and had them in albums. I think I take pictures, so I follow their traditions in that way, but I don't develop them. And there is a new app, if anyone is interested. I just downloaded it. It's called TouchNote. And what you do is you can send postcards using pictures. And I'm going to start using that. That's going to be one of my traditions. Send a thank you or send a get well to somebody just to kind of brighten their day. And what I'm doing is taking all of our family pictures and some of the 8mm and putting them into a coffee table book. And my goal is to make a copy for myself and my brother and any other cousin who would like to have that, to not only preserve our family's life, but my mom and dad did a lot of genealogy. So I want to preserve our family's tradition. The third category is the concept of less is more. I love this. One of the words that was my word of intention for 2020 was minimize. We need to make better use of our time and our money. So a couple of tips I want you to again think through is, how do you break some of those large projects into small tasks? We procrastinate getting into those large projects, but one way to get into them is to just write a list. What are the things that you need to do? And that's a great way to break it up and get started one small task at a time. Block time, prime time for tough stuff. Prime time means, when are you at your best? Maybe you're fresh right out in the morning. Maybe you're better in the afternoon, or maybe you get a second wind after 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night. And do the tough projects then. Turn off the TV. We've got a slide next that's going to talk about how that has truly added to the stress during the pandemic. Value an extra 30 minutes. For instance, what if you got up 30 minutes earlier? What if you stayed at work 30 minutes later to get rid of or get done something that's been on your to-do list? Go to bed 30 minutes earlier so you feel fresher, or maybe you're more alert the next day. Or if you're having a lot of traffic at work, what if you left 30 minutes earlier and you would avoid the traffic? The other application is about managing money. Managing money can mean living below your means. Recognizing what are the things that you must have, or what are the things that you want. And I really do think that going back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs was the experience through COVID. I mean, we were at the point of not having milk or toilet paper, and those are the things that we need. Other things are luxuries, and so we need to learn how to sort out that to preserve and save money. I stopped using credit cards, and I watched my credit score go up. Tear up credit cards that you don't use. I've only got 2 credit cards that I use, one for work and one for my personal, and it's also helped me simplify reconciling my statements. Unsubscribe to magazines or emails that you get. If you're getting a lot of junk mail, you can go down or scroll down to companies that send you a lot of flyers and unsubscribe, and that will help free up the time you're taking to delete. Smart Shop, I did that. This week was Prime Shopping at, I think, Amazon, Target, and a couple of others got on the bandwagon. So I gave my grandkids up to $50 gift credit to go out and shop. And I thought, you know what? I want them to get what they want. And it all shipped to me. And then I'm going to give that to them as their Christmas present. It's exciting for them, and it's stress less for me. And I think many of you have learned the benefit and cost savings of staying home for dinner. This is a slide that I thank Dana for finding. It talked about regulating the amount of time that you're watching about the pandemic. I'm dating a doctor, and I know he wants to know the stats about the pandemic cases, but we only watch the news during the dinner hour, but then we don't watch it ever again. But you can easily get consumed by watching it on CNN or Fox News. And then the last concept I want to give to you is organizing your life for simplicity. One of the greatest strains on our brain is clutter. And you need to get rid of stuff. So the first tip is to move. You know, you can't beat the exercise of moving to get you to throw out stuff. Or maybe pretend you're going to move. You know, maybe you have a weekend where you are going to go through a closet, go through a garage, places that are just kind of a source for catching things that you don't necessarily need, but you want to have. Have a filing system. Don't have a piling system. Delete or trash junk mail. You know, I love having filters in my Outlook, and it goes into my junk mail, and it gives me that sense I don't open it up. So just simply deleting it without opening up the email. I like to have systems. I have systems for organizing my clothes. I have my closet organized, so my jackets, then I have my blouses, I have my slacks, and they are color coded as well. So I can actually pack in less than 10 minutes. Now, granted, I have my toiletries in a travel bag I keep all the time, but I know colors of different outfits very easily. And the last piece of this, organizing for simplicity, are chores. You know, if you're getting stressed out about chores that you're always doing, learn how to delegate. Ask even your kids to do some of those things. They might not do them the way you do, but it teaches them responsibility, and it allows the family to feel like a team. Make healthy snacks so you're not apt to get into the high carb. Make a poster board. Dana and I did this last year, maybe the year before, and it was a great way to set our intentions for the year. Take one extra step. You know, what if you spend 1 extra minute on a project? Would you take it from good to great? What if you spent 1 more hour talking to your child or asking your boss for a question or clarification? What would that mean to the quality of your work? How many of you find that your socks get lost in the laundry? I've yet to figure that out. I used to think it was the kids, and it's still happening today. So don't get stressed out about that. Just turn it into a rag. And use natural cleaners. You don't have to have expensive cleaning products that aren't in stock. You can use baking soda, vinegar, or even vodka to clean tile. I learned that from the Queen of Clean. So I know we power packed a lot in a short period of time. We've gotten great feedback from the first webinar, and so we want to remind you that all of our webinars are recorded, and Dana posts them out on our website, inspiringsolutions.com. If you type in webinars, and you can see that category for not only this, and other webinars. The other handout we gave you is our schedule of upcoming webinars. We do 3 times every month. Don't watch alone. Feel free to share it with others, coworkers, or family members. Next month, Dana is going to introduce a new Everything Disc workplace using a platform called Catalyst. In December, I'm going to wrap up the year helping you to navigate your ship out of the storm with a fresh perspective for 2021. So your feedback is important, not only to helping improve the process. We want this to be an easy learning experience, enjoyable, but also make suggestions for the next year's topics. So in closing, love what you have, need what you want, accept what you receive, and give what you can. Because always remember, what goes around comes around. Dana and I thank you for joining us today. Make it a great day for yourself and others.